Good evening. We will continue today the Common Question series. But before we start it, I'd like to speak a few minutes about what happened today in Eretz Israel. As you all know, it's a very sad day. Every person that dies, every drop of blood that spills, it's a tragedy. But the tragedy today was extremely severe, more than the other ones. More than the other ones, because the message that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent to us is a very, very severe and urgent message. When an Arab attacks a Jew in the street, in different parts of the country, it's obviously a message from Hashem. But when it happens inside the middle of the prayer with talit and tefillin in front of the Sefer Torah, and 4 people that get butchered, from what I had an opportunity today to learn, each one of them was extremely righteous. It wasn't ordinary religious people. Religious people, some are righteous, some less, some are very righteous. So that's a whole story when you get someone that is very, very serious. It wasn't fake people, it wasn't Chas v'shalom, people who do things behind the scene. From what you hear, each one of them was an angel. Minyan of tzaddikim, one Rosh Yeshiva, all of them almost American, one British. People who left America, left the comfortable life, left Europe, went to Eretz Israel to sit and learn Torah. And you should know one thing, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu take 4 big tzaddikim in one day, that means it should have been 40,000 other Jews. That's the ratio. Should have been a massive tragedy, like an earthquake, 40,000 dead, like in Iran or in countries, Thailand. And instead of doing that, that will destroy us completely, he take a small number of people, but with huge quality, each one. Because when Hashem measured the Jews, when he measures everyone, even the Goyim, but mainly the Jews, he doesn't measure us by bodies. He measures us by souls. And a soul of a righteous guy can be equal to 1,000 souls of not such righteous people. Not to talk about wicked ones, could be tens of thousands. And that's the words of the pasuk, Dodi yarad legano. Dodi means HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Every time you hear Dodi in Shir HaShirim, it means Dodi yarad legano, lilkot shoshanim. What does it mean? That HaKadosh Baruch Hu went to the field full of thorns, and he found one rose, and he picked it up. Of course, one rose can be like 1,000,000 thorns. What's the comparison? Also, the message is, everything I say, of course, is a combination of my personal opinion, but it's based on what I learned all the years. It's not, unfortunately, not the first tragedy. And the history of the Jewish nation is full of tragedies more than any other nation, or perhaps more than all the other nations combined. It's not an exaggeration, unfortunately. No nation had more tragedies than us. And I believe that if you add all their tragedies combined, our tragedies are still higher than theirs. So, the other message over here is, not that there's a difference if a Sephardi Jew died or an Ashkenazi Jew died. There's of course no difference. All Jews are all the children of Hashem. But even in a small details like this, there is a message. Recently, unfortunately, in world of the yeshivot of the Ashkenazim, the Litaim, there was a very big machloket, unfortunately. We already know in history, every time there was machloket, there's always a tragedy to follow. A machloket between one Rav to another, and they became two groups. Machloket inside the most important yeshiva in the world, maybe, in Ashkenaz. Machloket means a disagreement. But the history of the Torah, of the Jewish people, is full of billions of machlokot. It's not one or two machlokot. But there's a difference when the machloket is searching for the truth. Everybody believes that this is the right answer and this is what Hashem really wants. That's perfectly fine, and Hashem even like it. That two of his children fighting and screaming and jumping and running around in a room to know who wants to do Hashem's will. And everyone is trying to satisfy the father more. One serving him tea, the other one runs makes coffee, one runs bring a cake, the other one runs serve fruit. That's a very positive machloket. The father is sitting on the couch thrilled. Look at the children I have. They're fighting who's going to respect me more. That's very good. That's every machloket in yeshivot. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Gemara says, Hashem says, Nitzchuni banai. Big arguments between the Chachamim. And then they found Eliyahu Hanavi. It says, what did Hashem do at that time when there was big fight in the yeshiva for the truth? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Nitzchuni banai. My children got wiser than me. I tried to trick them, but I couldn't fool them. I was testing them. But they got the point. They knew that once the Torah was given, that's it. Nobody plays with the rules anymore. Even if a Navi comes, a prophet comes, the rule is the rule. That's it. But the problem begins when the machlokot, when the disagreements is already starting to get mixed with personal issues. For instance, if the properties of the organization worth $1 billion, organization that have 60, 70, or 100 years of work, over the years they buy buildings, they have properties. It goes from father to son. The father was a big rabbi, then his son, but then his son-in-law, and they bought big rabbis over there, and after 30 years that they're there, who's going to be the leader? It's just like by the kingdoms. The king has 2 kids, and everybody wants to be the new king. And sometimes they're both good. It's not that one is good and the other one is not. They're both good. And this is how the Satan designed this machlokot. And eventually it goes to personal level, and it creates lashon hara. And very good people fall into this trap. Big people fall into this trap. A week ago, somebody took a yogurt, leben, in Israel and spilled it in the face of perhaps the most shakdan rabbi in the world. Someone who doesn't leave the Torah for a minute all his life. Learns non-stop. In the middle of praying, one of the foolish kids, teenagers, whatever, that supports the other side of the machloket, he spilled the leben in his face while he was praying. In the middle of the prayer, that moment I knew a big tragedy is coming. I promise you, I'm not a hero now to tell you after the fact. As soon as I heard it, I say, I wonder what it's going to be. Not far away from where it happened, that's what happened. Not that by the Sfaradim the situation is any better, or by the Hasidim. It's like they say in Hebrew, ze nevela veze trefa. This is nevela, this is trefa. You choose which one is worse. Machlokot you have everywhere. Every Rebbe that passed away, the Hasidut splits to 2. And then the Rebbe one day will pass away and it will split to 4. If it's only split in a peaceful way, no, ken yirbu. Why not? Another shul, another community. Not the end of the world, fine. Baruch Hashem, we give birth to new kids, so another Vishnitz, and another Vishnitz, and another Satmar. No, what's the problem? Problem is that it's never split peacefully. Always end up in a court of the Goyim, and all these wicked judges has to decide all the donations money of 80 years, where it's going to go, to here and to there. and sometimes it gets the police involved, and sometimes people go to jail. It causes a lot of problems. So in my humble opinion, no one knows the mind of Hashem. It could be that everything now I tell you, the reason it's completely something that we're not even aware of. Kadosh Baruch Hu has his ways. But we have common sense. We are required by Hashem to guess what he wants, because we have a rule. If there is a little tragedy, it comes because of a little problem. If there is a huge tragedy, it comes because of a big problem. But one thing for sure is, no tragedy in our history ever came for no reason. That's what the wicked people seems not to understand. They keep criticize and fight and argue and sends me email and get upset. Why are you getting upset? There are two alternatives here. One alternative to say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu punish us when we make mistakes and we make sins. And the other alternative is to say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God forbid, is worse than, I don't want to say even on my mouth who, that he enjoyed to torture people for nothing. It's one of the two, cannot be in between. Either he tortured us because he enjoyed it, and he sits there and smiles and sees us crying and pulling our hair off. Or the other alternative is that he made a world, and the world has a system, and the system cannot be changed. That's it. Righteous people get rewarded, wicked people get punished. And when the righteous people make sins, they also get punished, even more severely than the wicked. Kadosh Baruch Hu medakdek im hatzadikim kechut ha'se'ara. Kadosh Baruch Hu is strict with the righteous people, like chut ha'se'ara, like the size of a hair. That's how thin and how precise is the judgment. There's no discounts. People who sit and learn Torah 14, 15 hours a day, 10, 20, 30 years, and then they participate in such machloket, throwing garbage cans on the floor, throwing leben, screaming in the middle of the Kaddish, not letting the person pray. Where do we ever find things like this? And who pays the price? The big tzaddikim. And who really pays the price? The wives that stays alone now with raising the 28 orphan kids. 28 orphans, all of them in one block. And the picture of this chacham with the tefillin on his hand, with all the blood around. I wish I never saw it. Life cannot be the same after you see such thing. But at least I know that if it wouldn't be this, it would be 10, 20, or 30,000 others. And then what we would do? Of course, when it comes to the amount of mitzvot, if you put it on a scale, like I say, 4 can be equal to tens of thousands. But if it would be 10,000 people, it will be the end of us. Well, a tiny country like this with such tragedy, where are we going to start? Who are you going to start taking care of? There's no hospitals for them. It could have been who knows what. It could have been a chemical bomb that goes to the whole city, thousands of people choking and falling. Even this, as it was a huge miracle. The shul was packed with people. What if he would come with an automatic machine gun? What if both of them had a gun? Only one had a regular, simple gun. One bullet at a time. They have to change. After a few bullets, you have to put a new one. This is all time consuming. What happened if they would come with Uzi machine gun that shoots hundreds of bullets in a minute? It would be, chas v'shalom, 150 dead people there. One came with a knife and the other one with a knife and a gun. Which means if both of them would come with automatic machine guns, or two, one in each hand, what would have been now? We wouldn't know which name to even mention. I always say, as painful as the tragedy is, if we are objective with all the pain, it's hard to be objective, I know. But if we were objective, we know now that we got away with a tragedy that could have been 100 times worse. Could have killed everybody there. There's nowhere to run. They come from one entrance. They stand over, there's no way to run. That's it. It's one gate. You wanna run, you have to face them, and they would come with automatic machine guns. Because obviously their goal is to kill as many as they can. They don't have any mercy, these monsters. One of the things that we have to learn from is we shouldn't wait for tragedies like this to become united. This unity that we have today, and everyone with a broken heart, and thousands of people go to the funerals even though they didn't know them, but they understand it's an obligation to participate. I hope it's going to stay, this unity. Not another week from now it will go back to normal. People who plan now to move to Israel, they should put a hold on their plans. They should put a hold until the situation would clear. Why? We go by the rules. What can we do? Mitzvah to go to Eretz Israel, of course. But if it's risking your life or the life of your children, it becomes an avera. With all due respect to Eretz Israel. It becomes a sin. If you know that now every religious person that walks in the street is a target of a terrorist, and they're already announcing that they continue, they're not going to stop. It's only going to get worse in the next few days. So obviously, what's the point of living here in a quiet neighborhood here, moving with your children over there and putting them in a risk? And chas v'shalom, you move there and something happened to one of the kids, imagine the rest of your life. A person can walk 30, 40 years and go crazy from morning to night, non-stop, with no rest. Why did I make that move? He will blame himself. It will destroy the family. I say to someone today, you have parnasa here? Yes. You have shlom bayit here? Yes. Your children learn good here? Yes. You're learning Torah here? You say like an addict. More than 10 hours a day. So what's the question? By the way, someone like that, even without a war in Israel, should not move. If you have everything here, you connect to Hashem, shlom bayit, children learns good, you learn Torah 10 hours a day. How many Baalei Batim learn 10 hours Torah a day? Some of the Bachurei Yeshivot don't learn 10 hours a day. So you have it all here. Hashem puts you in heaven in this world. You want to take a risk? The only comfort I have for you is, in days like this, that soon we're going to hear the shofar of Mashiach, Az imale schok pinu. All this crying that we had today will turn into tears of happiness. And these people would rise back to life. And everyone would laugh and say, if we only knew that in a month after you got butchered, you got back on your feet and we'll hug you again, we wouldn't get so upset. Like you went on vacation or something. But in order for us to see these days, we have to be worthy to stay when Mashiach comes. Because as I already told you hundreds of times, don't take it for granted. Mashiach is not good for everybody. Mashiach is only good for Jews who made real tshuva, not fake tshuva, real tshuva. And to make real tshuva is not easy at all. It's not easy. It's very difficult. It's difficult if you work in a city, if you work with not modest goyim, if you hear all kinds of curses all day, if the television is in your face with all the lashon hara and the wickedness of this evil goyim that non-stop speaking about all kinds of bad things, which is all against Hashem, and you have to be around them, it's very difficult to do tshuva. They hate us so much that today they already proved to us that they don't care. That they don't care about what happened. Besides few words from Obama and his Kerry, they don't really care. Not only that, CNN say in the beginning an attack on a mosque. What do you expect? They're owned by Arabs. They tell them what to write. They don't care about reality. And then later they say 4 Israeli and 2 Palestinians died. They still did not say terror attack. And in the end of the day, when the whole world, I guess a lot of Jews were making complaints, so they apologize. They first make the damage, then they say a few words of apology, and it's repeating. Don't ever have a doubt. Even though there's a lot of nice Gentile people with good hearts, and they want to be righteous, and some of them are righteous, and some of them love Jews, and some of them wish for the success of the Jewish people, and even respect them. Yes, we have millions like that in the world. But they are a drop in the ocean compared to the rest. And since we have billions of them that sit and count the minute until they see all of us dead, we have to realize that we have nobody to count on. We only can count on HaKadosh Baruch Hu and on ourselves. What does it mean on ourselves? If we're going to do real tshuva, then Hashem will help us. And if not, so let's try to learn Torah. I know it's not easy, but if there's anything can take a person out of sadness and depression, is the Torah. Pikudei Hashem yesharim mesamchei lev. The orders of Hashem is so decent, and it's like pure food for the soul, that without realizing it makes the soul happier. Last week we spoke about learning in Christmas night, learning on a train making noise, learning for the remedy of a sick person, falling asleep in the middle of Shiur Torah, difficulty in learning Zohar, Kabbalah, Musar. Lots of interesting topics we had. Today we're gonna continue with interesting other different topics. We also spoke about what's the minimum obligation for a person to learn Torah per day, what's better to learn morning and night, or to learn morning, or to learn in every open minute, or to set up times. We spoke about all these things. We also spoke about what does it mean, bitul Torah, that a person can learn Torah, but he doesn't. What's considered to be mevatel Torah? Every minute that a person doesn't learn Torah, is that bitul Torah? Or if he goes out of his schedule, whatever his schedule is, and today he does not learn what he has been doing for the last few months, then it falls into bitul Torah. And the conclusion was that every open minute that a person has to learn Torah, and he can learn Torah, and he does stupid things instead, or just wastes his time sitting doing nothing, then it falls into the category of bitul Torah. Now, there's a question. Someone that hears a bracha, someone makes a bracha about food, there's an obligation to answer amen. It's not a choice. You want, answer. You don't want, don't answer. It's not your mitzvah, it's his mitzvah. It's an obligation to answer amen, and the reward of the person that answer amen is higher than the one that made the bracha. Someone that answer is even greater than the one who actually say the bracha. Which means it's obviously an obligation. The question is, what happens if you're in the middle of Shiur Torah? You're learning with your friend, and someone next to you make bracha on the water. And you're going to stop for 3 or 5 seconds to answer amen on his bracha. Which means you're going to say 4 words less Torah in those 3 or 4 seconds. Now you may come and say, hey, come on, don't exaggerate. 4 words, that's what bothers you right now? The answer is, the Gemara said that the importance of learning Torah, it's so high, it's such a huge mitzvah, that every letter counts as a separate mitzvah from the Torah. If you come to a Jew and say to him, I want you to put tefillin, how long does it take? 3 minutes. Tie it on the hand, put it on the head, say Shema Yisrael. Shema Yisrael is an extra mitzvah. But tefillin shel yad, tefillin shel rosh, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, depend. After years, you can be even 30 seconds, depend how quick you are. He's going to give you a hard time, sometimes, not all the time. I'm tired, it's hard for me, Rabbi, I cannot commit. I said 2 minutes a day, what do you mean you cannot commit? You waste hours on nonsense. 2 minutes a day, you don't want to keep the covenant with Hashem? Okay, I can promise. So now, if a person in this 1 minute that it would take him to put tefillin, he would learn now, he would say 200 words, and an average word has 5 letters. 5 letters. Average word. Some words have 7, 8 letters. Some have 2, 3. An average, Chafetz Chaim did the calculation, 5 letters. 1 minute, 200 words, 5 letters in each word, 1,000 separate mitzvot from the Torah, exactly like putting tefillin 1,000 times in 1 minute. So now the 3 or 4 seconds that you stop to answer Amen, in about 3 seconds, right? If you say 200 words in one minute, so 3 seconds from a minute, 3 seconds, 60 seconds divided by 3, it's 20 times. So it's exactly 10 mitzvot from the Torah. You lose 10 to say 1 mitzvah de Rabbanan. Answering Amen, mitzvah de Rabbanan. Who's to say it's allowed? It's a good question. And plus multiply it by 30, 40 years that you hear brachot when you learn Torah in yeshiva. You may not allow to answer, because the Gemara say someone that stopped learning even for swallowing the saliva in his mouth, like you talk, you have to swallow. Even on that second that he swallow, he will regret it in Olam Haba. Why didn't I do it faster? Because the reward is so huge that a person will calculate the 10th of a second. This is how Rav Ovadia Yosef became Rav Ovadia Yosef, or Rav Eliashiv, or any one of the giant Chachamim. No one becomes a giant Chacham if you're just an ordinary learner. You only become a giant Chacham if you have a combination of few important things. Hard work, persistence, never waste time on nonsense, holiness, watching the eyes, repeating, humbled, having great midot. This is a combination to become a huge Chacham. Just a sharp brain, no, we've seen many people with sharp brains. Just hard working, so very good, but there's other things you need to do. The conclusion of that is that he must answer Amen. Even though there is a rule, Aosek mina mitzvah, patur mina mitzvah.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Why is the one who answers is more than the guy who made the bracha? Well, what's the logic for that?
That's the words of Chazal. It's a good question. Gadol haoneh yoter me'hamvarech.
Any reason for that?
Any reason for that? I think because the one who makes the bracha has an obligation to make the bracha. It's really not so much of a choice. He has to do it.
Yeah.
Cannot eat without. Someone who eats without bracha is a thief. But is not just a thief, is thief from Hashem. There's a difference when you steal from Citibank, no. You steal from your friend, no. Steal from God, that's already much more serious. So the point is, that we're saying here, is that there's no permission to eat anything without blessing first. But the person that did not eat is like confirming, maybe because of that he doesn't have any personal interest here. You want to eat, you're interested, so maybe I'm guessing, maybe that's the reason.
I was going to ask because it seems the person who says Amen is I was going to say the person who has the interest for the food, he doesn't have to eat. He changes his mind, he doesn't eat, nothing lost. But somebody makes a bracha, now I have to I have to say Amen because Rabbi just told me to do it also. I'm more obligated than him. He could say, forget the donut. Once he makes the bracha, I'm obligated and I get totally nothing out of it. It's all Ishma. I would say it makes sense that should be a little more for the person answering, no?
Good point. Let's conclude this question. If someone was deep into the learning and he didn't answer Amen, he doesn't have a punishment. Someone who does nothing and he hears bracha and he doesn't answer, right here he violated the rule. But someone that was learning and he did not answer, he has an excuse. What's the excuse? Aosek b'mitzvah, patur min mitzvah. However, this Amen, it's mitzvah overet. If you don't answer now, that's it. It won't be. For instance, if you have to say Shema Yisrael, and you're learning early in the morning, and it's not sunrise yet. You didn't say Shema of the morning, and you're still learning. You have an hour of learning. You start half an hour before sunrise with your chevruta. You finish half an hour after sunrise. So now, when the time arrives, right now it's the time to do Shema. And according to Rambam, lechatchila, that's the only time. In sunrise, you have to say the Shema. Everything else is b'di'evet, which means as soon as you become obligated, you have to do it right away. Same thing, tfilat arvit. As soon as it becomes dark, you have many minyanim. You have to go to the first one that you can pray. If you keep 60 minutes after Shkia, this is the first minyan, and you have one later, you have to go to the first one. Because of the rules, rizim makdimim la mitzvot. Person that has an opportunity to do a mitzvah, he has to show Hashem that he's anxious. When is it going to be? Just like the fools who wait by the stadium for the referee to start the game, and they sit like this, and as soon as it begins, they begin to scream. It's their life. Somebody kick a piece of leather over there, you know? How excited they are that the game is starting. But what happened? 3 days before the game, they can't sleep. They come to the stadium 10 hours before and become an idol worshipping. Who's going to kick better today? If they are like that, we have to do just as much for the real truth, for the truth. So the problem over here is that if you learn in the morning, you are busy with mitzvah, and now you have another mitzvah. But since this mitzvah that you have waiting on hold is not going anywhere in the next half an hour, you still have time, then you don't have an obligation to stop the learning and do it. Why? Because you can do both. You'll finish your learning, and as soon as you finish, you'll say the Shema. But what happens if the Shema, the time will expire? By the time you finish your hour learning, it will be already after 8:40, whatever it was, 8:36 today it was. So it will be already 8:45. So that's after the time. So you have to take a time out, you say the Shema, and you continue with your learning. Better to add 3 more minutes that it took you to say the Shema to the extra learning. Like this, you did not cut your learning, and you actually say the Shema. Even though the Shema itself is counted like learning. If a person was anus and he says Shema in the morning, Shema in the evening, יוצא לידי חיוב בשוכבך ובקומך. Even though it's only 3 minutes and 3 minutes, it's already better than nothing. Let's move on. A person that is manners is very, very serious about not chewing a gum. A person that you don't really find a judge in a Supreme Court walk around with a gum, or a prime minister. Maybe Obama, yes, but somebody else, no. A respectful prime minister doesn't put gum in his mouth. Unless if he's alone with his kids. It's a different story. I'm talking in public. But what happens if you want to learn in the yeshiva and you're very tired and gum keeps you up? You're moving your mouth like a cow, and obviously it keeps you awake. It's very hard to fall asleep when the mouth is constantly moving. Is it justified to chew a gum in public as a respectful figure? Somebody that does it all the time, there's no question here. Someone that is makpid is very careful not to do it in public. It's an embarrassment for him. But now he's thinking, without it, in 10 minutes I'll be sleeping and I lose the whole hour of learning. Can he keep himself up by doing it or no? What do you think? No? Good point. The answer is yes. The answer is yes. Rabbi, today I'm not in a mood to learn. Do I have an obligation to force myself to learn, or let me take a break and when I'm back in the mood I'll return to learn?
Extra credit.
Learning, do we have a dismissal when we're not in the mood to do it or no? The answer is, where does it say that you have to learn only when you're in the mood to learn? When you go to school in America, in Harlem, you have to go even when you're not in the mood. Mr. Jackson and Williams, when they go to Harlem, they have a test tomorrow. They're happy to go to school? No. Kids in yeshiva, some of them are also not happy to go. They would rather play on an iPad than go now and break their head in a learning. Whether you're in a mood, you're not in a mood, you have to do it. Certain things in life you do. You go to work, you're in a mood to go to work. You have a test, you're in a mood to have a test. 99% of the things we do, we're not in a mood to do. So why when it comes to the Torah, there's always an excuse, I'm not in a mood. Leave me alone, Rabbi, give me a break today, I'm not in a mood. No discounts, whether you're in a mood, whether you're not in a mood. I'm teaching Gemara in a neighborhood every evening, and one secular guy asked me to join the lecture, the shiur. Am I allowed to let him or no?
Yes.
What's the dilemma here? You say, why not? Obviously, if there's a question in a book, that means there's a serious reason why not.
What's the question?
Only back in public.
There's few problems here. Let's go one by one. Few problems. One problem, he doesn't know anything from his life, and this is people who already learned for a few good years. They understand the terms, they understand the language. He's going to sit in a class. They're going to use all kinds of Gemara expressions. He's going to go crazy because he's dying to know. You know, it's like a drug, spiritual drug. Please, what is this word? Only this word, and then maybe I understand. And he disturbed the whole class. But it's not in a level. Even in yeshivot, you don't put a beginner with someone who learns many years. There's different levels. So that's one problem. Second reason is, when someone comes and joins Torah lessons, what do you have to teach him first? The last thing you teach him is Gemara.
Don't you teach him Musar?
Oh, you first teach him to become a human being. What does it mean to become a human being? Anger, laziness, desires, integrity, kindness. You have to make him a decent human being. Modesty, how he behaves, how he talks, how he dresses. All these things are very important because that's going to influence him as an entire, like a figure. Even in university, they don't put you right away into the subject. There's introduction first. So you have to explain to him that this shiur is not for his level, not to be offended. He's just not going to find his hands and his legs here. So you ask him to start, you give him a list of things. First you have to do this, and then you have to do this, and then if one day you want to start learning Gemara, you have to do it officially. You come to yeshiva, you learn. Sometimes I have people that just became religious, and they hear Gemara, and they say, Rabbi, where can I go and learn Gemara online? They ask me. Where can I go learn Gemara online? First, he has to learn the foundation. After he knows the foundation, he understands the language, he understands the concept of the Gemara. Maybe he can learn online. I don't know. I don't know what quality there is to learn Gemara online. But obviously, every learning is better than nothing unless if it makes a damage. For instance, if a person is empty and his traits are not good and he's not a decent person, and you put him in a lesson of Tanya, like some of the Chabadnikim do, or you put him in a lecture of Zohar, Kabbalah, not only you're not helping him, you're making him a tremendous damage. Why? First, he doesn't understand anything, and they literally understand from the class, but there are things that are much more urgent than that. I one time had a guy, he started to come to my lectures in Queens. He was a complete secular guy. After a few weeks that he came, Baruch Hashem, he became Shomer Shabbat. He made one guy, one Chabadnik, and the Chabadnik convinced him to come here to 770 to learn Tanya. And then I asked, where is this guy Lior? He used to come every week, I don't see him anymore. His friends. They told him he met one Chabadnik, he became friends with him, and he dragged him to come to the Tanya. And I said to myself, I just hope it's not going to end in a tragedy. And what was the month or two later, or 3 months later, it was many, many years ago, he went back to be a goy. Why? You don't put a little kid, 3 years old, in a university. You teach him first how to walk, you teach him how to read, you teach him Aleph Bet, you teach him how to put tefillin, you teach him Taryag mitzvot, you teach him the simple and the most urgent things that a person has to learn. You don't put him in Tanya, which is a high book, 90% Kabbalah, all kinds of secrets. You put him right away over there. It's not belong. Same thing, Likutei Moharan. They all live in illusion that they understand something. You bring them to me, I show you in 5 minutes, they don't understand 1% of what they learn over there. Complete waste of time and arrogance also. Arrogance, why? Arrogance or stupidity, one of the two. I give them the benefits of the doubt that it's arrogance, not stupidity. Or maybe it's the other way. Maybe it's better to be stupid than arrogant. I'm not sure. But it's definitely not the right thing to do. What's better? To sit and learn as usual Torah, or to go to my father, Achnasat Sefer Torah? They make a party, they bring a Sefer Torah into the Shul, the police came, they close the area, people walk and they dance, and they bring the Torah into the Shul for the 800th time. And Baruch Hashem is thinking now, should I continue to learn as usual, or I should participate in respecting the Torah? What's the answer?
Learn.
Huh?
Learn.
So simple, but what happens if your father or your mother, they ask you, out of our respect, what's the family going to say? You embarrass us. What are you going to do in a case like that?
Go there and learn.
I think about over there.
The answer is, if there is no pressure from the parents or the person that makes the party, you don't have any gratitude to him. If he's your sponsor in yeshiva, he puts you in yeshiva, he pay your tuition. There's gratitude over here. And he asks you, I want you to respect me, come to, to participate. I'm making tomorrow Achnasat Sefer Torah for the memory of my father. What are you going to say to him? Technically, if he was clever, he wouldn't offer you. He wouldn't offer you. I tell you something. In yeshiva, every once in a while someone gets married. When a person gets married, 7, 8 p.m., that's the hours. So what happened now? So one time, this guy loved to learn. So they invite him to a wedding of one of the boys. So he said, I can't come, it's Bitul Torah. Driving all the way from Monsey to Brooklyn, 2 hours. Participating in a wedding, 3 hours. Another hour and a half, 2 hours to come back, 8 hours of waste of Torah. Let me sit here. I pray that your marriage will be successful. Here is my gift to you. I got you this book. I wrote you a beautiful blessing. Have mercy on me. Let me learn. I have an agenda. I have a plan. Good or bad, what he does. Sameach Hatan and Kala, it's mitzvah that doesn't come anywhere near 1 minute of learning Torah.
I think it's good.
It's a mitzvah, very nice mitzvah shel chesed, ואהבת לרעך כמוך, it's actually few mitzvot. But you can't compare it to sit and learn Rashi, Tosfot, Gemara, Be'iyun, or even Musar.
What does he do on his wedding?
Oh, we need a magician here. So the answer is, if in the night of his wedding, he's going to come to all his friends and say, please, none of you come to my wedding. I don't want the Bitul Torah on my head. You sit, you learn, you finish to learn at 10:30. If you still can come, fine. If you don't, no problem. I forgive each one of you. I don't want my wedding to cause 20 or 30 guys from the yeshiva to close their books and come all the way. I'll have my uncles and cousins, they're going to dance. Fine. If he's in this level, he's patur from to go to any wedding of his friends. But if when his wedding going to come, he's going to be very upset why nobody came to his wedding because they all want to learn Torah, it's going to break his heart. Then why he doesn't go to others? The Gemara says, what you hate people doing to you, don't do to others. Is it a mitzvah for husband and wife to learn together Torah? Is it recommended to do it?
No.
No, absolutely not.
The answer,
Girls take it to the guys.
nothing makes good connection between husband and wife more than learning Torah. Not eating dinner together, which makes a good connection. Not intimate relationship, which makes a very good connection. Torah, it makes connection between the souls. It's a whole league, different league. All the other connection is physical, even though you have some spiritual connection as well, but it's mainly physical. Here, it's pure spiritual connections between the souls, which is more than any understanding that a person can have. I remember in my young age, I used to do business with a Romanian guy, Peter. He came from Romania. He had the sweater companies here, more than 100, 200 people needing sweaters in the old days. Big machines, mechanical machines, huge factory. It's the size of a football field. I used to go, lots of noise, all the amigos over there, you know. So I used to go there. Once a month I had to go pick up a check from him. But every time I went there, I don't know, maybe this guy was a Jew, I don't know, maybe he was a righteous guy. He did not let me go for 3-4 hours, was grabbing me literally, sit, will order for you kosher, tell me some words of Torah. He doesn't let me go. And you should have seen what's going on over there. He loved me so much that he doubled my profit without me asking, just to make me happy that I will agree to talk to him for a few hours Torah a month. That's how much his soul was thirsty. And not only that, I felt bad when I was giving him some, ideas about the Torah, about the world. I felt bad because every minute, Peter line 1 goes like this. Forget about it. Peter line 3, 10 times. Peter line 3. He goes, don't worry about it. Then his wife comes. Peter, she speaks to him in Romanian. Da, 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 da. I see she want to kill me over there. I say, yeah. I'm telling you, it's amazing. Why? The connection that is sitting and talking Torah to a person, try it once. You see what a great connection it makes.
What?
It's an amazing connection. So therefore, if a husband and wife wants a wonderful connection, it's beautiful. Besides that the wife needs someone to teach her. She's busy all day, she raises children, she goes to work. She also needs someone to teach her what he learned in yeshiva. It's very, very good and very recommended. What's better to do? To sit and learn Torah or to go to Nichum Avelim? A friend of yours is sitting Shiva. Or someone in the family, lo alenu. Or even now in Israel, all these families sitting Shiva. And you are learning now. So you have to actually stop the learning and go be Menachem Avelim. What's higher? Learning Torah or go to comfort the people that mourns for the death of their member of the family? What's higher mitzvah right now?
Absolutely Shiva. With no question, Shiva.
Learning Torah, but you have to go to...
No way. Shiva, 100%.
The answer, learning Torah, it's much higher. However, if there's no one else to go to comfort this family, then it's become an urgent obligation. Same thing visiting the sick. Someone is sick. If every day people go in, I've seen people that sick, they are so popular that they have hundreds of people coming one after the other, that the family put an ad in a newspaper, please, no more visitation, it's disturbing. If a person is very popular, he has thousands of people, friends, students, neighbors, everyone feel an obligation to come. At one point, discomforting become a serious burden, not to talk about the huge expense. If a person, lo alenu, sit Shiva, if he had 50 people came all week, and he has to give them some food and dinner and, and bring chairs, no, you can handle it. What happens if 5,000 coming? It becomes a wedding. He has to get a security, valet parking, deliveries non-stop. He has to take a mortgage.
How do you determine if we're saying nobody to come to Shiva? If everybody would be saying, somebody will come. I have to go to learn the Torah. I don't want to be to Torah. and the other guy, and the other guy, and the other guy, and this family and that family, nobody will do.
There's certain things that you know for sure they'll get done by others. For instance, when Chacham Sasson from Baghdad, he came to the Ben Ish Chai more than 100 years ago and told him that he decided to go to Eretz Israel, to Israel, to build a hospital. There was no hospital. The Ben Ish, and he came to get a bracha. He didn't come to ask an advice. He said, Rabbi, I'm going now to Israel, bless me. How are you going to Israel more than 100 years ago? I don't know, maybe they had a train, maybe by horses or by donkeys. That's how it was. So it's a serious journey now. Until you get there, it's safe, not safe. So he said to the Ben Ish Chai, give me a blessing, I'm going to open a hospital in Israel. I heard they don't have a hospital. So the Ben Ish Chai told him, don't open a hospital, open a big yeshiva. It's the same expense, and the yeshiva is more important than a hospital. The hospital is a cure for the body, which is disposable, and yeshiva, it's a hospital for the soul, which is eternal. It's more urgent and higher, and everyone is happy. The people that comes to the yeshiva, Kadosh Baruch Hu, everyone is happy, and plus you're gonna make 1 billion times more profit. You can't go wrong. I'm giving you a great advice. So he said to the Ben Ish Chai, I understand that Torah is very big mitzvah, but if not going to be a hospital, what happens? Someone has to give birth, an emergency, infection, open heart surgery, people will die. What? Pikuach nefesh. So the Ben Ish Chai told him, don't worry about it. To build a hospital, there are plenty of people who wait online to give checks. For the yeshiva, 2 or 3 people hardly show up. Hardly. Why? This is the way people are. They always will do the opposite. You announce you're building a hospital, you need donation, don't worry. You're going to get plenty of donations. You say you have to feed the poor, families who don't have what to eat, people's heart bothers them. I'm eating here caviar and drinking scotch, and I just read that there's a family that doesn't have what to eat. How can I enjoy my food? So to spare the suffering for myself, I'm going to help them that I can enjoy the caviar now. Otherwise, I'm not enjoying it. It bothers my conscience. Imagine now, you sit in your Rolls-Royce limo, the window is open, summer day, and your servant just brought you a beautiful platter to the car before you go on the way. He gives you all this fancy sushi, and you see this homeless come to the window like this. You can choke from his smell. Obviously, he didn't take a shower for a month. He said, would you give me 1 piece? I'm dying. I didn't eat for 3 days. If you don't give him, can you enjoy the food? Can't enjoy the food. Just the fact that he came and you saw him, that's you got to give him something. Now, why you give him? Because you love him? No. You only give him in order for you to enjoy from your meal. And the only way to enjoy from the meal is to give him something to keep him happy that his eye won't be on your sushi.
How it is related to the hospital?
So I was saying, you should have known that. Before Monaco, you would know it right away. Now you went to the French Riviera, we have to start from the beginning now. It's not the same, my friend.
You have claps from the audience.
I got to tell you something, people got used to you. When you were here, they're complaining, who is this guy who asks so many questions? 3 weeks you're not here, guess what? I got 10 times more complaints. Where the Russian guy disappeared?
I also receive it on the Facebook all the time.
Not only that, people already build a story that I insulted you and offended you and you upset at me and you're ready to kill me.
Yes, you did.
Go ahead. There's always conspiracies. All right, anyway, so next question. Next question. I learned Gemara for a long time, and don't see results in my effort, maybe I'm not such a genius after all. Should I give up and move to things that are easier? At least I enjoy the learning and achieve something. Or I have to be stubborn and learn and learn and learn until eventually I would understand, like we've seen many times it happens. People did not give up for years, and all of a sudden their brain opened up and they began to understand. What's the right way? Do you have to learn in life sometimes to give up and to do something that you're better at? Or to even leave the yeshiva and go to work and make money and sponsor people that are talented and smarter than you, that at least they can learn with your money? Or no? You have to go, like we say in Israel, Rosh Bakir, head to the wall. No matter what, I'm keep going. What's the right way?
Start by
Head
easy
to the
stop
wall.
and then go harder.
Head to the wall, that's an answer. You learn as much as you can and eventually you hope it's going to come to you.
Chazara.
And by the way, the fact that you're not as successful as somebody else who is smarter, it's going to count to you even more that you're learning so much and you're trying so much. So you're going to have more reward than somebody who is already smart and getting it fast.
Everything you said and he said is all correct. But this question doesn't have a yes and no answer. Depend on a person. Just like in medicine. You can be a doctor. One person came and you already know his record for the last 10 years. He's your patient. You already treated him. You know his body. For instance, you go to your dentist. The dentist already knows. Some people, 1 shot, it's enough. Some people, 4 shots. The nerve system is very strong. Even after 3 shots, you still jump on the chair from the root canal. But the other one, you give him 1 shot, not only the gums are numb, he went to sleep for a week now. Wake me up next meeting, next appointment. So the dentist treats his patients according to their behaving and needs. Same thing over here. Not everyone has the same soul and the same effort and the same ability to improve. Some people, if you don't tell them to quit right now, they'll quit everything in the end. They won't even open a book, any book. Better you tell them to quit now, Gemara, before it's going to be too late. They'll get disgusted from the learning because they don't understand anything already 6 months. And then they say, no, you know what, I had it. I don't want to hear from yeshiva, nothing. But if you move him to something like Mishnah, for instance, it's more or less the same subject, but in an easier way. He begins to see pleasure in his learning. One day he'll go back to the Gemara and eventually build himself. So that's why everybody argues in the yeshivot of the Baalei Tshuva. Most of the yeshivot push them to learn full day Gemara. And everybody say, why are you forcing on them 4 hours in the morning and another 3 hours in the afternoon, 7 hours a day Gemara for someone a week ago had a hearing over here and had a horse tail in his back, just had a haircut yesterday, just got rid of his jeans with the rolls that was all the way down to the floor. Now you're already teaching him Abaye and Rava, what's the Kashya. It's a little bit too much for him. So it's a very good point. Maybe you teach him an hour a day, and next month 2 hours, and next month 3 hours, and until eventually you go to a full day. The ones that insist to keep it this way, they're not foolish people. It's very big rabbis with lots of experience. What's going to be their claim? Why they want right away? There are 2 ways to learn how to swim. One, to take swimming classes and rob your father for $2,000. Today, Kindalach, we're going to learn how to do like this. 45 minutes, $100. Next week, everyone repeat after me, $100. Oh, there's another way. My father told me, you know how I learned to swim? My older brother, Alav Shalom, in 1947, an Arab killed him when we were fighting for the land. 17 years old, he died. My father was a little kid, and he was 7. Just before he died, he said, he took me to the water, threw me. And I started to drown. He said, oh, you have to save yourself. 3 minutes later, I learned how to swim. Shortcuts. Shortcuts on the desktop. You don't have to search. Same thing over here. Those, they say, you throw him to deep water. At least half will survive. And that's a huge shortcut. You're saving 2-3 years in the learning, because while you're there, You have no choice. You begin to understand. But there's another reason for it. Because the learning of the Torah is so high and so difficult, the Gemara say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, הלוואי ואותי עזבו ותורתי שמרו. Hashem say, if I have to choose now, what's better, that they leave me or that they leave my Torah learning? I agree that they leave me. Father, I have nothing to do with you, God forbid. But they continue to learn. Then they say to me, I'm going to be religious, but I'm done with learning. Let me go do business. I don't want to hear about learning for the next 2 years. Please don't disturb me with this. And now I have to take care of my stomach a little bit. No more learning. So Hashem say, better you leave me. You say to me, I'm done with you, but you continue to learn daily. Then you leave the Torah and you be with me. What's the logic here? How God say such things? He answer, Ma'or sheba machziro lamutav. There's no such thing that he will continue to learn and he's going to leave me. Tomorrow, after one good lecture, he runs back to me. The soul of a person, as soon as he hears 2 or 3 good hours of Torah, tears are coming. The Stipler, the father of Rav Chaim Kanievsky, when he finished learning Gemara for a few hours, he thought he's alone in a room. We didn't know the students are peeking from the window. Thousands of witnesses were taking the Gemara, running around the table, jumping, singing, with tears of happiness. Such a level, such a spiritual level, where are we going to ever feel this level of such happiness, that tears of happiness are falling and you have a little river on the floor? Why? Because the soul is going to the highest level of pleasure when learning Torah. We all know that when a woman is pregnant, there's an angel who teaches the boy 9 months Torah until he comes out to the world. What about the girls? Since girls don't have an obligation to learn Torah like the men, don't get me wrong, they must learn a lot of Torah. In order for them to be righteous, they have to learn thousands of hours to know all the mandatory laws, Shabbat, modesty, food, kosher, prayers, all kinds of things, raising children, a lot of things. The woman has to know a lot of things. Let's put it that way. Even a woman that say to the rabbi, just give me a list of everything I have to learn for me just to be above the red line. Where is the red line in school? In Israel, 55. 54, you fail. 56, you pass. 55, depend on the mood of the teacher today. Sometimes it fails, sometimes it pass. Depend how the coffee came out in the morning. But 55 is the borderline. So the woman comes to the rabbi, she says to him, Rabbi, give me a list of books that after I know them, what's in those books, I'm going to be able to keep more than 55, which means I won't be a failure when it comes to observing the commandments. She will have to learn the minimum of the minimum 10 times more than a doctor has to learn in medical school. If you don't believe me, let's go over it. I'm going to tell you how many subjects she has to learn. And each one of them will take her weeks or months. Very intensive. Just to know all the laws of Nida, months of learning, and it's very, very difficult, very complicated. Because women's body is very complicated. Sometimes it comes on a steady date, sometimes it skips, sometimes it doesn't come at all, sometimes depression, sometimes aggravation, sometimes medication change the order. A lot of things going on. Sometimes there's a wound, sometimes it's the results of the gym, sometimes it's kosher blood, sometimes it's not kosher blood. So many things to learn. To know at least, she doesn't have to know what the rabbi knows when he checks, but she has to know at least what to do, how to do, and if something goes wrong, to report it. There's a lot to know. All the laws of cooking, kosher, not kosher, checking for worms, meat and dairy got mixed, how to check, all these things, many, many months of learnings. All the laws of Shabbat to know perfectly, 7 years of learning. Just to know the laws of Shabbat. All the laws of Lashon Hara, 1 year of learning minimum. to know everything, to know the book of the Chafetz Chaim with all the details, what happened, if people already know, they don't know, if the person is embarrassed, if he's not embarrassed, what happened if, you meant it, you didn't mean it, how to do tshuva for it, all the laws of tshuva, of Rambam, also few good weeks of learning. The Jewish ideology, very good few months of learnings. Raising children, years of learning. It also needs a lot of experience, not only learning. How to be a kosher wife. There's a lot to learn. Should I go on?
It's a lifetime.
And this is a wife. Now the husband multiply by 10. So the husband is a lawyer and a doctor together. People think life is a picnic.
That's why the answer for your question, should I quit if it doesn't go to my head? The answer is no, you cannot quit.
Depend on a person. Because if you don't quit now, then you quit for good. What do we do by that?
Rabbi, as far as I understood, in learning Gemara, it doesn't count, of course it's good, that's a goal to learn and eventually to reach the level, and that's a goal. But it doesn't count for Hashem how much you reach, it counts how much you're really trying to understand.
Yes, but you're forgetting the point here. Everything you can say, beautiful, nice words of encouragement. But there's only one problem. People are not robots. No matter how much they know what you just say, it's true. And no matter how many times they heard it on my CD, 50 times at least, reality, it's reality. When you sit in yeshiva for 6 months from morning to night, and 6 months later someone asks you, no, tell me 1 minute Var Torah of what you learned in the last 6 months, and you don't know anything, what's the odds that you're going to stay there? Usually you're going to go back to your booth and the vegetables market and sell lettuce and cucumbers. Rabbi, what happened? Why are you not coming? Rabbi, Gemara is not for me. I'm done. I tried Torah.
Maybe not full time.
So what's better? You take him. You give him things for kids, Sipurei Tzadikim, Rabbi Kaduri in Baghdad. His Arab came to kill him. He bent down. The Arab fell. Things like this. Not everyone is a genius. You understand? Same thing by the kids, by the way.
Who decides his level?
His rabbi. His rabbi that knows him. You need someone that knows you. Then, someone in yeshiva, is learning in yeshiva, is living in yeshiva. Because they give him a place to sleep and food to eat. Some yeshivot you have to pay. Some yeshivot is for free, depending on how the sponsorship goes there. Let's say it's free, this yeshiva. We have a rule that a person should not use the Torah for personal gain. You want to be a lawyer, you can be a lawyer for personal gain, money, honor, whatever you get. It's no problem. You want to be a doctor, even though it's mitzvah to cure people, it can be busy with chesed all your life, kindness, but if you came to be a doctor only because you want to be a millionaire, it's no problem, as long as you get the job done. But if you came to be a rabbi because you wanted to be famous or you wanted to make millions and you wanted people to build your shoes that cost $50 million, and that was your intention. If it happened, it happened. But if this was your intention to begin with, you're a criminal. Because to begin with, you had no permission to do it. And also, you had no permission officially to teach and charge money and to tell them that you want this and you want that. And if they want you to teach you, they have to get you this car. And you're not going to come with this car because it's not long enough, like this limo, and you want a private jet, all the rest of the nonsense.
So Rabbi in the community not allowed to say, I want to salary you $5,000 a month, because that's the cost of my living. I will be your rabbi in this community, but this is my payroll. That's what I need.
That's no problem. If he is working and making money somewhere else and you want him to quit and to become your personal tutor, you're basically not paying him. You're just giving him what he had already. For him, he could have had it one way or the other. He didn't come to you to make money. He had the money somewhere else. If he was unemployed for 2 years, he couldn't find any job, and now he said to you, if you give me $5,000, I'll be your private tutor, that's become a problem.
Private tutor, a rabbi in the community.
Rabbi in a community, you have to pay them salary. Why? Because at the time that they're full-time and secure in a community, they had to go somewhere else and make money, to work in a different job. We're not talking about this. We're talking that a person is using his knowledge where I can make money. Now this boy is asking, since they're giving me a place to sleep and food, is that considered enjoying the Torah to get personal gain? That's the question. Well, we have to know if the answer is yes, then half of the yeshivot should close down immediately. If the yeshivot did not close down, probably the answer is no. But why not? Why not?
We're going to start.
Because the dead body cannot learn the Torah. You have to keep the body alive.
Exactly. He's not asking for anything out of the ordinary. If he comes and says, you want me to teach, buy me a house. Who's to say you have to have a house? Rent a house. You have to buy you a house? Rent a house, we'll pay the rent in order for you to be in a community. We give you what you need to survive. All this extra that he's asking for may fall into this category to make the Torah as kardom, like a shovel, to dig, to go into his direction. Then it can become a problem. Hashem say, Ma ani bechinam af atem bechinam. I taught you Torah for free. Always run to teach Torah for free. By the way, it's not only Torah, it's also moel, circumcision. Also has to come for free. So why are we paying them? Everybody pays the moel something. Because he comes to check the baby, he pays gas, hours, traffic, tolls. Then he comes to check the baby after. You don't pay him for the circumcision. You pay him for all the service around. If he was a doctor, a personal doctor to come an hour ride to your home to check the baby and examine him and do this, and then to come again, it would be more than $1,000 easy. One Israeli girl had some kind of infection. She was put for 3 days or 4 days, 3 or 4 days in a hospital here in New York. You know what was the bill?
$25,000.
$98,000 bill. No shame, these hospitals.
I see you.
$98,000. The Israeli insurance company said, we better go to court than pay you this money. They didn't want to pay her. She had to take a lawyer and fight with them. They didn't have an answer not to pay. By law, they had to pay her. But they never dreamed that's going to be $98,000 for 3 days of you have an infection, you know. But this is America. You pay for 1 day in a hospital what an African guy in Africa makes in 7 years of working in a field, killing himself. Or the Mexican in Mexico in a field, or the Chinese in China. All his life he worked, kill himself from morning to night, carry heavy things on his back. One night you sleep with the mice and the cockroaches in the old hospitals of New York. Already lifetime salary. Welcome to America.
Who told you to get sick in that hospital? Go get sick in Mexico.
Today it's worth it to be tzaddik. It costs sufficient. It saves a lot of money. It's a much better health insurance than all this Obamacare that pays for nothing. Next question. The Gemara say in the end of Masechet Kiddushin, Rabbi Nehorai, some say it's Rabbi Meir Nehorai. Nehorai is like light. Rabbi Nehorai says in the end of Masechet Kiddushin, I'm teaching my son only Torah, nothing else. I'm not going to teach him how to drive. I'm not going to teach him how to do business. I'm not going to teach him to cook, nothing whatsoever. Every minute that I have with this boy, I will teach him only Torah. Some say you have to teach your son to swim. One day can save his life. This is an obligation of the father. The Gemara brings a list of what's the obligation of the parents to teach their kids. He said, only Torah, nothing else. But we all know that a person has to make a living. You're not going to teach him a way to make a living, I don't know, bookkeeper, accountant, a driver, something to make a living. What's going to be? It's not fair for him. So that falls into the famous arguments between Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and Rabbi Ishmael. Rabbi Ishmael and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, they have a famous machloket in a Gemara. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai say, person should trust Hashem, learn Torah all his life, not to worry a minute about making a living. You have faith, everything you want, you'll have. Rabbi Ishmael say half and half. There's no opinion that say to be in Manhattan all week. That's for sure, no. Half and half. Half a day learning, half a day working and doing your personal things. What does it mean half and half? Minimum 9 hours a day you learn Torah. That's half and half. Rabbi Shimon say 18 hours, 19 hours a day to learn. And not to worry about anything. The Gemara says some did like him, didn't work out. Some did like him, didn't work out. How do you make a solid statement like this, like it's black and white? There are other areas. It's not exactly like this. It's not an exact science here. Some people were trusted Hashem to give them parnasah. They ended up accumulating debt of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Where are they going to start now? Some people went and killed themselves at work, and they also have hundreds of thousands of dollars debt. Some people went to work, they made millions. Some people went to learn Torah all their life, they also made millions. Everything is possible, so what is the rule now? If everything is possible, we have to find a rule. The answer, I'm going to make it very simple for you to understand. In one sentence, there is a mathematical formula. What do you have? You have on one side your confidence in God from 0 to 100%. 0, 1, 2, 5, 10, 50, 30. And on the other hand, money. From zero money to millions of dollars. How much you can make a year. The more you work on your side of emunah and the more confidence you have in Hashem, the easier the parnasah would come to you. That's the general rule. There's always an exception to the rule. Don't give me, oh, I know someone who trusts Hashem and didn't have. I know someone who doesn't trust and he make millions. I know. I'm aware of what's happening around me. You understand? But we're talking the general rule, which means, how do you know if your level of confidence in Hashem is rising? How do you know? Many people live in a dream. They think they have such emunah, they don't have 1% emunah. How do you know? Bounce the checks to them, $200, you see the reaction. No? Will I wait another hour for you? Don't you think you have a chutzpah? Are you giving me a check and a check bounce? Listen, don't make me call Tony, my collector.
-400.
Listen, you know, I mean, they go crazy. Wow, how did you dare? No, it doesn't have any emunah. Where is his emunah? My emunah, the parnasah come from this check? The world is standing on that check? The answer is, when you don't have fear from the coming days, then you know your level of emunah is high. Which means you're not worried about marrying your children. You're not worried about paying your rent or mortgage. You're not worried about paying your bills. You're not worried about having food or not having food. You don't even feel 1 hour of your month fear from the future. You have right now $2,000. You know that from now until the end of the month you're going to need 4, but you only have 2. Which means right now, if I won't have extra between now and the next 2 weeks, I'm going to go into debt. Debt brings penalty and interest. And from there you lose control. So it's really scary. To 99% of the people in the world, it will be a panic attack. Moshe, why are you smoking non-stop and you don't sleep at night? You flip over in bed, left, right. What is this, dancing? Yoga? What are you doing in bed? How can I sleep when I have bills to come next week and I don't know where I'm going to get the money from? Very scary, no? How many people jump from the terrace because of that fear? Millions. Millions of people jump from buildings because of exactly what I just said. Maybe not $2,000, but maybe more. Doesn't matter, the concept. The Torah says a Jew doesn't have permission to have fear in anything in life. Not about his health, not about marrying his children, not about if he finds his shidduch or not. There's no permission to worry. To worry at something that should be deleted from the vocabulary of the Hebrew language. It's only in the Hebrew language for the Goyim, but it's not legal for Jews. The Goyim, what do they learn? They learn chovot al-vavot. They understand the concept of confidence in Hashem. How many Goyim like this you have in a creation? From 7.5 billion Goyim. If you find 5 like them in the world, I'll be surprised. By the Jews, every little kid has to know it. In kindergarten, they teach you this. Without that, you have no life, you have no religion, you have no connection to Hashem, you can never be righteous. You see in the Torah that the people who left man for tomorrow, Hashem looked at them as criminals. Today I'm feeding you, you worry tomorrow I'm going to make you starve? Why do you save money in a jar for tomorrow? Shame on you. I told you eat today and enjoy tomorrow, I'm going to take care of you. Why did you save? Today it became mandatory to save. Even big rabbis tell you, open save, open CD, worry about your future. Why? When the boat is sinking, the captain is sinking also with them, even though he's the captain. What do you think, the levels of the rabbis today, what used to be 2,000 years ago? If you came to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and say, I have $1,000 now, but I'm going to need next week some of the money, so I can only use 300 now, I'm leaving 7 for next week. He would look at you like, where you came from? Were you normal? But today, some will tell you very clever, very wise. Ezu hachacham haroeh et hanolad. But you know what the problem is? I'll tell you what the problem is. I'm telling you from experience. Even if you have $70 million cash in his bank account, he's worried about next week. He's worried about next week. You should see his face when the rabbi comes to ask him to help the yeshiva and the orphans. Rabbi, business is very slow. Look, you're already 20 minutes here, not one customer walk into the store. Rabbi, maybe you give us bracha. The rabbi came to collect for the yeshiva. He make the rabbi work for him. Rabbi, wait, I have the ketubah. I need you to explain to me. 4 hours, he made him his servant. Rabbi, can you give me a ride also? What about the check for the orphans? Come next year, maybe it will be a better year. But he's loaded, his account is loaded. But now, business is not as great, so he's beginning to worry. What if it would happen, if it would stay like that? Now, I'm not making what I used to make, but you have 70 million, it's enough to live until the resurrection of the dead. But he's worried. Someone that has what to eat today, and worry what he would eat tomorrow, the Gemara say he has no emunah. Ktanei amana. His emunah is close to zero. Very, very small.
Life insurance?
Huh?
Life insurance, not allowed to buy?
Oh, life insurance is a very complicated question. Some rabbis say to buy, some say not to buy. Now I'll tell you why it's a complicated question. If a woman has life insurance on her husband and he dies, and she gets $2 million, whatever, it gives her 10, 15 years of peace of mind to raise the children, and she doesn't have to run to the rabbis. The rabbi has to now run and collect millions for her to live in the next 20 years. So it's a peace of mind. It saves the headache for the community that has to raise the widow, and the children. So it's really just as fair that a person will buy life insurance because no one knows where he's going to be tomorrow. The 4 tzaddikim that went to daven, when they put tefillin, did they know a minute later someone will come and stick an axe to their head? I didn't know that. Do we know if we make it out of this room? You know how many Arabs are right here, 3 miles away here, terrorists, murderers, that's sitting right now and planning how to put a bomb here? Do you know that today in Tel Aviv, Bnei Brak, they caught 3 Arabs with machine guns? Which means there was another attack should take place today. I told you, we only see the tragedy, you don't see the hundreds of miracles that happen every day. Do you know what it means to live with 1.5 million Arab cruel terrorists around you non-stop for 60 years? 60 years. In any other country, not one Jew would survive. 1.5 million terrorists in a country of 7 million residents. How many percent is that? Almost 20%. Do you know what would happen in America if there are 400 million people here, if 100 million of them will be Palestinian murderers who all day plan to kill Americans? In 1 month, there would not be one American survive here. In America, 1 month, everyone would be dead. All the Arabs had to do, each one has to kill 3. What is it for the one attack, and that's it. Everyone pays his dues. But in Israel, nature doesn't apply. Miracles, non-stop, one after the other. With all the sins, with all the great ungratefulness, with all the bad things that we do all the time, millions of miracles for us every day. And when a tragedy happens, we cry, we broken, we sometimes say things we're not supposed to say. Where was Hashem? Where is this? Well, how come Hashem is doing it? It leads us to this. So life insurance, I'll tell you now the other side. Sometimes Hashem keeps the husband alive only for one reason. That he's the one who goes to work and brings money. And if he'll kill him now because he deserves to die for his crimes, or maybe the time of his life ended even without crimes, because we were not going to live here forever, obviously. Even the most righteous people die young. Ari Kadosh, 39. Ramchal, 39. Rab Nachman Breslev, I think 38, 39. Orach Chaim, 40-something, if I remember correct. So a lot of the tzaddikim, they had 33. So a lot of the tzaddikim didn't even make it to 40. Doesn't mean they die because of their sins, because those people never made sins. You cannot find the Ari that made a sin. He's an angel. He's in a Ruach HaKodesh, in a prophecy non-stop. People that have prophecy and they glue to HaKadosh Baruch Hu billion times harder than crazy glue. Glue, attach, it becomes one. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't make sins. If you attach to HaKadosh Baruch Hu so hard, even if you want to make sin, you can. You are God yourself. You attach. Your soul is attached to Him. It's now 1 minute of separation. How can He make sins? Hashem makes sins. Hashem goes to the club in Manhattan to make sins. Hashem needs to see the girls walking on the street here with the 5 feet long heels that they have over here. God forbid to even think like that. So what's the point? Since He's going and bringing food and He takes care of the bills, if He suddenly will die right now, what would be the outcome? It's going to cause a disaster to innocent children and to people that depend on Him. Sometimes it's easy to replace Him. She has a very rich father, no problem. Take him, the father take action. He saved a lot of money. But sometimes there's really no one, and Hashem will have to really move a lot of things around. It will be too much of a miracle. And there's not enough merit, so he is forced to keep him around. But as soon as this guy makes life insurance, 2 weeks later, Hashem takes him. So, okay, I don't need you anymore. She has the 2 million. Yalla, come. You know, they have a joke. One guy came to Shiur and was asking too many questions. Not you, relax. I tell you, if I know Monte Carlo, it's such a good tironut, I would send you there a year earlier. You came back from there a different person, Baruch Hashem.
Well, before Monte Carlo, I went to Geneva.
So maybe Geneva. Maybe you should tell me where you went. Maybe I'm going to take my anxiety also down.
How to bring you over there?
Actually, I'm planning a trip there.
That's what we have to discuss.
So now, the point is, now, if a person asks too many questions, so when the rabbi told him, okay, he gave him the answer. Then he asked another one, and another one, and another one. He said, I tell you what, this one I don't know the answer. But that's okay, I can arrange a meeting between you and Hashem. He'll tell you himself. Okay, I got the point. No, you want to ask questions, go upstairs, ask Hashem. You stay there with him, he'll tell you all your answers. Now, I know I don't have any memory. Whatever I'm going to learn, by the time I leave the class, between the shul into my car, I already forgot everything. You're going to laugh? If I ask you, what did we learn today, do you think you know 5% of what we learned? Right here in the middle of the shiur. Who here can raise his hand and tell me, don't raise your hand yet, and can tell me the entire hour and a half that I'm speaking, from the beginning to now, in the right order, all the 20 topics that I spoke about tonight?
Not in the order, but maybe not 20, but most of the 80%, maybe not in order.
Let's make a deal. I'm giving you now 5 minutes time out.
No, you cannot.
Wait. No, wait. You didn't. You see, you don't. Take your text and begin to text me right now all the subjects, and we will finish the shiur by me reading what you wrote. Fair enough?
Yes.
All right.
I'll try.
Go ahead. Now you have to make a lot of notes to confuse you. You don't want to make me lose.
You know that.
It's okay. Take your time. So, someone that knows that he forgets everything. In that case, is it still counting as learning Torah? The purpose of learning Torah is to know better, to keep more mitzvot, to do more things. But if you forget everything, you stay the same phlegmat all your life. 30 years, what do you do? Every day I come to the Daf Yomi. No, do you know one thing? Nothing. You know the joke. They have a store that sells brains. They take brains on a shelf. So one guy comes and the doctor said to him, there's problems in your brain. Before it's too late, now we can replace your brain. Go to that store, here I give you a referral. And they go over there and they say, what's this brain, how much? Say, $500,000. So what is it? He says, he's a teacher. $500,000. He said, okay, what's that? He said, that's 750,000. He said, what's special about it? He said, that's a very special thing. It belongs to Israeli jet pilot. F-16 pilot is a clever guy. Cannot be a pilot in Israel unless you're a brilliant guy. Okay, between a teacher to Israeli jet pilot, only 250,000 different. I think it's a good deal. What about this? He said, nah, that's the diamond. That's $1 million. He said, wow, $1 million? What can be better than Israeli jet pilot? What's special about it? He said, that's a brain of a Kurdish guy. He said, Kurdish guy? What's special about it? He said, that's brand new, we never thought before. Brand new. From the package. After they made the transplant, one day comes to the doctor. So the doctor I think something is going wrong inside. So the doctor opened up his head from the top, he checked, he cut one wire, both ears fell. There was one wire inside, tying the ears to the head. Does it count learning Torah when I forget what I learn? Not as superb as it's supposed to be. Of course, for the efforts, for keeping the obligation that he has. But there are ways to improve the memory. Well, I used to make lectures in the old years about memory, about what not to do, what to do. Don't eat too much olives, don't wear your clothes the other way around, inside out. Don't go under a camel, don't cross a bridge from underneath when there's no water in a Chevy, what do you call it, Levy. And there's a list of things that makes a person memory good or bad. Like olive oil, improving the memory. Some people even put it on the scalp of the kids, that it absorbs inside to the head. There's all kinds of sgulot. The best thing to improve the memory is to train the brain to learn hard things that require hours of focus. The brain is like a muscle. If you have a weak muscle and you want to make it strong that you can lift 10 times more weight, you have to train the muscle. You do it constantly, a little more, little more, little more. The more practice the brain would get, the sharper it gets. Again and again. That's why the Gemara is so brilliant. You can take a fool, and if he really puts effort and he has the right teacher, a year later you can't believe how smart this guy became, not only in learning, in everything in his life. Why do you think the Koreans that invented the Samsung and the Kia, they're very good. They're smart people, these Koreans. A small country, size of Israel, 7 million people, I believe. And they're just as brilliant. They invent a lot of things. They came to Israel now, and they took the Talmud, translated to Korean, and then made it a mandatory law. Every Korean kid must learn Talmud. So they asked them, they took them to Ponovich Yeshiva, and you see 1,000 people learning over there, and they interviewed this guy. I put it on my Facebook page. He said, we came here to investigate what's the secret of the Jews. How come they are the smartest people in the world? And after a long investigation, we came to the conclusion that what made the Jewish people the smartest people in the world is their Talmud.
It's a what?
The Talmud, the Gemara. What happened?
It's fine, don't worry.
There's a mouse?
Yes.
Just wants to
Keep
listen.
on
Just wants to
college.
listen.
It's funny, I just said before, Manhattan with a mouse, Hashem send a mouse, you see? 2 weeks ago I spoke about astrology, the astrologist walked in. Right? Remember that or no? I tell you, I'll be honest with you, if I talk about Mashiach, if really technically, hypothetically speaking, if we would bring Mashiach right away, I'm not so sure. Because it's not so good for all the Jews. It's only good for the righteous one. For the wicked one, it's not good. I'm not even allowed to say it, and definitely not in front of a camera. But if I was a secular person, I would pray all day that Mashiach would not come. If I would be secular. If I was Mechalel Shabbat, all day I would read Tehillim that Mashiach doesn't come. Because according to the Torah, when Mashiach comes, is my eternal destruction for eternity. Mashiach is supposedly, I'm ashamed even to say it, but the truth must be said. When Mashiach comes, all the wicked Jews in the world will regret the moment they are born. Because what does it say? It's in a prophet. ובא לציון גואל לשווה פשע ביעקב. Listen to my lecture a week ago. Days of Mashiach, end of days. Recently I spoke about this. Zachary 14. Read Zachary 14. What do you need to listen? Just read it with English translation. Where is the source that the world must have 36 righteous Jews in order for it to survive? There's less than 36 big giants righteous Jews. There's no existence to the world. We know that the world must have at least 10 people learning non-stop Torah all the time. If there's nobody learn Torah in the world, the Torah says that the world is going back to Tohu Vavohu, to a complete mess. But where do we have the source that you need 36 righteous people to maintain the world going? The answer, the Gemara speaks about it. Abaye, Lamed Vav Tzadikim. Today we know about it a lot thanks to Tnuat HaChasidut. They highlight that a lot. Lamed Vav Tzadikim. But it's not something they invented. Some people think that when the Hasidut started 220 years ago, that they brought to the world things that the world did not have before. But that's a very common and very big mistake. Hasidut, what do you think? Someone said he was born and he started to invent new Judaism? God forbid to think such a thing. They only highlighted things that seems to be neglected, or people do not focus too much on those issues. So they brought it together and made a group of people that follow those ways with the Baal Shem Tov, and eventually it developed to what it developed. But none of the things, so for instance, one Breslev Chassid came to me and said, well, thanks to us, there is Itbodedut. Itbodedut means that you isolate yourself somewhere quiet with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I say to him, I didn't know, I've been doing Itbodedut 3 times a day in Tfilat Shmona Esrei for 20 years. Thank God you came to the world and you taught me about Itbodedut. Every Jew prays Shmona Esrei, closes his eyes and talks to Hashem. It's Itbodedut. Whether it's in a shul here, whether it's in a yeshiva across the street, whether it's in the middle of the forest. Plus, we just read in a parashat Chaye Sarah, Vayetze Yitzchak lasuach basadeh. Chazal say he went to pray and to talk to Hashem. Before there was yeshivot and shuls and Tfilat Shmona Esrei, Yitzchak went somewhere and spoke to Hashem. Before there was Breslev in the world. If you don't know all the history and all the details, it leads you to a lot of common mistakes. Nothing was invented in the world. The only thing is thanks to the Ari HaKadosh, he opened things that were blocked, that people could not understand. That's a big chidush in the world. Also the Rashash. Some say the Rashash is a Gilgul of the Ari. The Ari was supposed to live longer life, but he told secrets he was not supposed to say to his Talmidim, And he told them, I know because of that I'm going to have to leave the world, because I wasn't allowed to tell you and you pressured me. And then he left the world, and he said, if Hashem will give me permission, I'll ask him to come back to finish what I started. And 250 years later, the Rashash came, and there's a strong belief that he's a Gilgul of the Ari, reincarnation. Rabbi Akiva was the biggest Chacham in the Jewish history ever lived. The Rabbi Akiva, since he started his journey to Hashem when he was 40 years old, some says there's a strong belief that the Ramchal came as Gilgul of Rabbi Akiva, reincarnation, that Hashem gave him the 40 years that he missed in his life when he was cleaning horses and he did not know anything from his life. So once he became a Baal Tshuva in his 40, he lived until 120. But 40 years, a third of his life went to the garbage. So Hashem sent him back to get those extra 40 years that he should have had if he knew any better. And that was the Ramchal. They also happen to be buried next to each other, which makes it look less than a coincidence. Also, so there are few big Chachamim that open to the world things that the world did not know before. Not that it did not exist, it existed. The Ari said anything that did not come from Kabbalah, from the Zohar, and from Moshe Rabbeinu? Of course not. But nobody was able to tell it to the world for 1,500 years until he came. The Ramchal opened few channels that people were not aware of before. The Gaon Mivilna, the Rashash, there are few, that's it. There's thousands of giant Chachamim, holy, Kedoshim, Teorim, don't get me wrong. But I asked my Rav, which is a very big Mekubal, perhaps the biggest in the world today, what is the difference between this Chacham and this Chacham? They all were learning Kabbalah. And he told me the only one who brought Chidushim to the world was the Ari, the Rashash, the Ramchal, and the Gaon Mivilna. He told me a few other names, but not as much. The Radak, Cordovero. He gave me a list of people that taught to the world what the world was unable to know without them. But everything else, everything you ever heard from me, came from my ideas. It's all come from Chazal, from the Torah, and from the Midrash, from the Gemara. That's it. It's not that I ever said in my 20 years that I speak something that without me the world didn't have it before. Maybe I highlighted it more. Maybe I brought it to the attention of thousands of people who were living in a dream. But it's not that I sat and invented it together with Hashem. That Hashem came to me and say, hey, sit here, let me give you some secrets to save the world. No. It's all based on what we already had here. But sometimes you can have it in your own house on the shelf and you never opened it until a guest came and took it out, cleaned the dust. Now, how is the test going? How's the text? It's very deep into the mission. Yeah? Telling you, he's inheriting Putin. That's it. He's the new king of Russia. Next question. The Chida was very big Mekubal also. But again, there are plenty of big Mekubalim. But the question is, what these Mekubalim brought that we didn't have before? That's a question. Ben Ish Chai is a giant Chacham, giant Mekubal. Even in our generation, there's big Mekubalim. But they did not bring something that the world didn't have before them. You understand the idea? They were big Chachamim. They knew all the books. They know thousands of books. They knew 100 times more than the average rabbi. But to say that they brought to the world Chidush that the world did not have before, that's Tzarich Iyun.
Because Rabbi was a Rashash.
Exactly. The Chida's Rabbi was the Rashash, Rabbi Shalom Sharabi. Now, when there is a rule, too hot here. It's kechom hayom. Everything that happens in a parasha happens in life. Kechom hayom, 95 degrees. 20 degrees outside and I'm sweating, Baruch Hashem. We have 10 more minutes left. We have a rule that when you say something, words of Torah, you have to say who you learned it from. I heard from Rabbi such and such. I heard from my neighbor. I heard from this. I heard from that. I heard from Bilam. Even what you heard from Bilam, you don't have to say Bilam. Say, I heard from the Navi of the Goyim. How do I know that even what Bilam say has a value? Maybe mitzvah not to mention what he said. How did Ashkenazi Sidur start? Ma tovu alecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Israel. That's a verse that came from Bilam's mouth for the first time in history. Why the Ashkenazi Sidur started with this verse? They couldn't find something a little bit more kosher, like Ashrei Yoshvei Betecha Yalu Chasela, or anything from Tehillim, or from the Midrash, or from the Gemara. Because all the things in the world, the Ashkenazim chose Dir Bilam to start the day. What's the point here? To teach the world, a kosher Jew, the truth is always above politics. Doesn't matter who said. It matters if it's the truth or not. Whether a Christian say that or a Muslim say that. Yes, I didn't tell you to go and be Talmid. Of course not. You have kosher sources. Don't go to filthy sources. But if an Arab would read something that the Gemara already said 2,000 years before he was born, because we hate this terrorist, we're going to start saying that everything he says it's a lie? No. What he say that it's true, it's the truth. What he say it's a lie, it's a lie. Same thing in Judaism. Sometimes a secular Jew say something, but it's the Torah. What are you going to say? Oh, because the Rasha say it, someone that is anti-Torah say it, so now from now on it's not true anymore? Doesn't work like that. Rav Ovadia Yosef say, today Jews do not bring flowers to graves. Why? It's a Christian custom. I heard in one of his speeches that he said that it's not true, it's a Jewish custom. The Christian copy a lot from the Jews. When the Jews saw that all the Christians saw that Jews bring and put flowers on a grave, they also started to do. A generation or two later, the Jews started to see that all Christians put flowers by the grave, so they stopped. They said, it's minhag hagoyim. So I said, what happened if tomorrow the Goyim would start putting tefillin? So the Jews will stop putting tefillin because Tony decided to put tefillin? You see, Rafi, you didn't let me handle it. Now I'll tell you where this mouse came from and we'll finish. All right, ladies. Why are you standing up? Sit down.
Last week you told the story of the Rambam.
Yes. Now I'll tell you where this mouse came from. The Rambam had an argument with the Goyim if you can train animals to behave like people. Can you make a lion a Rabbi? With manners, with chesed. It's really hard to even talk to him, to train him. It's very difficult. You can make him a robot, but you can't change his nature. So the guys say, the priest say, I'll prove to you that we can train the mouse, the cat, that the cat will be a waiter. The cat will serve on a platter, walk on two legs, and serve. The Rambam said, okay, how long you need? They gave him a time. Then they came to the debate. As soon as the priest showed his cat, the cat is walking towards the king. The Rambam took the mouse, threw it over there. The cat saw the dump the platter, and everything is over. 900 years later, the mouse arrived here to Orach Haim Shul.
Rav, I heard also this.
We have now, with your permission, 4 minutes left. Let me just conclude this subject. If you say something in the name of someone that you heard it from, But he heard it from him, and he heard it from him, and he heard it from him, and it goes all the way to the Rambam. Now you have an obligation to mention all 8 sources.
Only the one who you heard it from.
The question is, why should you give credit to the last one if the Rambam was the one who was the first one who taught that? Maybe you can skip all the middlemen. You go directly to the source. What's higher, to say the one you heard it from, or the one who actually told it to the world?
I heard it. It's from one of your CDs.
Actually, it's both, because in Talmud it's all the time saying Rabbi, from Rabbi this, or by Rabbi that. So it's all the time mentioning it, who was the previous one. But I think
The answer, you go by the last one who told it to you. The one who taught it to you is higher than the one who invented that. And the Gemara say, Satan and Pnina meant for the sake of heaven. The Gemara say, I believe it was Levi. Levi gave a speech. The Satan came and kissed him on his legs. So the Gemara asked, the Chachamim asked, why the one who taught the Chidush, the Satan never kissed him? Levi was only repeating his rabbi that he learns it from. Why the Satan came to kiss Levi, that speech, in his speech, say that the Satan meant for the sake of heaven, with the story with Job? Why he didn't go to the source? Without the source, the world will never know that the Satan actually meant well. So from here we learn that the one who wrote it in a book, and the one that taught it to the public from the book, the one that you owe more credit to is the one who actually brought it to your attention. That's a very big chidush. Because logically it could have been the other way around. Who cares about the middleman? We care about the... Toyota invented a great Lexus. And Tony, the salesman, is selling it to you and teaching you the feature. Who do you give more credit? To Mr. Lee in Japan, or to Tony Montana across the street here in Coney Island? Who do you give more credit to?
Toyota, because Toyota you pay $30,000 and to Tony you give a $50.
Finish the text.
I finished 15 items.
But there's few more things to add now.
No, it's not fair. I wouldn't remember, it would be just...
What was the question?
The answer, you only go by the last one. And you bring salvation to the world by mentioning it. And you don't steal the credit to yourself. It's a matter of manners. Wait, 1 second. I have one last thing that I want to say. Besefer Hasidim, also hundreds of years ago, in this book, it says, She'im shomea davar tov mimin o mumar. If you hear something positive from an idol worshipper or someone who went off the derech, better not to mention his name. You can say what you heard, because it's the truth, but avoid mentioning his name. Skip it. Who did you hear it from, Rabbi? I don't remember right now. What are you going to say? I learned it from Arafat? But what's the real truth, the obligation, if you actually mentioned his name? The answer, if you learn it from a wicked Jew, you're allowed to mention his name. If you learn it from an idol worshipper, like a Christian, or Chinese, or Indian idol worshippers, you're not ever allowed to mention their names. That's why I never say the name of Yoshke, I say JC. People say, why do you never say his name? Why you say his name, all the impurity from them comes on you. You don't mention the name of the idol worshippers. But if Muhammad, that is not an idol worshipper, say it, it's a murderer. It's not that much better than an idol worshipper. But since he's not an idol worshipper, or even a Jew that is not an idol worshipper but is Rasha, if you say their name when they taught you something positive, you're allowed. But if you learn that from an idol worshipper, not even allowed to mention his name. When a rich person signs an agreement verbally with a Bachur Yeshiva that you're going to learn all month and I'm going to supply you with all your needs, with money, does it have to be in writing in order for it to bind in heaven, or it's enough they say once, or even shake hands, or even without shaking hands. I'm going to start sending you X amount of thousands every month. You learn and do your mitzvot every month, and we'll be partners. It's enough that they agree, and they say, okay, we have a deal. Does it already go in Shamayim, and there's no way to go back on the deal? Or you have to actually make it official with witnesses and all that.
Verbal is enough. In these kind of agreements, verbal is enough. You don't have to sign.
If a person donates money for CDs for the memory of his father, and he asked to write the names of the father on his, like Moshe ben Yitzchak, on the CDs, Leilui Nishmat, and he gave you the money and you didn't write, can he ask for the money back, or the fact that you already said that I'm giving the money for the memory, for the Ilui Neshama of my father, it's already in Shamayim, a done deal, adding the name doesn't add anything. That's the truth, by the way. Adding the name decreasing, not increasing. Also here, you see on the parochet, they write, Zot nidvat mishpachat such and such, leilui nishmat their son. By writing that, they lost a lot of their mitzvah. If they would not write it, they only say, when they made it, they gave it to the rabbi, put it in a shul, we're doing it for the memory of the deceased son that died. That's higher neshama, because there's no more kavod involved. Now everyone comes, see their name, they say, kol hakavod, they donate, very nice. It takes a little bit away from the reward. So better not to write. But the question is, do we have a problem when a deal, he gave money and he said, please write on a CD, and you did not write? Is it considered you tricked him or no?
Yes, yes. If he told you to put the CD, you didn't, you have to return the money. You must return the money. What comes to him is a different story. But you did not comply with your obligations.
The answer is, and we'll finish with that, here you go, I close the book, you can relax. The answer is, in the time of Rav Moshe Feinstein, when he was in Russia still, there was one big Rasha. The big Rasha, he used to tell the communists against Jews that keep Torah and mitzvot. Is what we call in Israel stinker, undercover agent. You know, he was Baruch, they made him a name Boris. So Boris is working for the KGB. Yeah. So now, one day, now of course all the Jews hated him, because a lot of Jews went to Siberia because of him. One day, he died. And he wrote in his will to bury him face down, not like the Jewish law. He said, I don't care about the Jewish law, I don't care about Chevrat Kadisha, I don't care about the rabbi, I don't care about any Judaism. I want you to bury me face down, not like you bury all the people face up. Put my face in the ground. They came to Rav Moshe Feinstein, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. Said, Rabbi, you're the chief rabbi. We have to respect the request of the deceased person in his tzava, in his will. Rav Moshe Feinstein say he was a fool. He asked something that it's not good for him. It's going to be worse for him. If somebody asks from the doctor to do something that will kill him, he's not allowed to hear him, to listen to him. Or even if he makes him sick, or even if he makes him worse than what he is now. The doctor has no permission to hear him, even though he requested it. You don't have permission. You have to do, as a doctor, what's benefit him, not what makes him more sick. So Moshe Feinstein say, ignore it. Bury him like I told you. As they put the grave, all of a sudden, after a few hours after the funeral, the KGB arrived to the cemetery. And they said to the Russian guy in charge, come, bring your shovels, dig, open this grave. Everybody, wow, how can you open a grave? It's a disgrace for the body, for the honor of the dead. They called the rabbis, all the Jews came, they tried to convince them, what are you doing? We're not in love with this guy, but come on, I mean, he's already died, leave him alone. No. We have a letter here from him that he submitted to us before he died. That you, the Jewish people, hate him so much, and you were so cruel to him, that it is proof that all of you are evil, is that you're going to bury him with his face down to the ground. which is against, you never do it to anyone unless if you hate him. We want to see if he was right or wrong. If yes, you're going to have a very big problem because he was one of us. He was working for us. They opened the grave and they saw him face up. And all the Jewish community got saved from death or from Siberia, thanks to the Chacham Rav Moshe Feinstein, who say you do what the Torah said, not what the fool. In that case, he didn't know, or maybe he did, that it's a plan, it's a scam. The only reason he did it, after his death, he wants to do worse to the Jews than in his life. That's what the Gemara say, Reshaim al pitcha shel gehenom enam shavim b'tshuva. The wicked people already one step from the furnace of hell. They still do not do tshuva. They don't say, okay, chatati, forgive me, I made a mistake. No. Jumping into the fire with pride and ego. No one will tell me what's right. We're done today, Baruch Hashem. Now, if you have questions, you can ask before the mouse return.
The rabbi didn't answer the CD question.
The CD question, if he did not write, it did him a favor. By writing, he actually, that's why I told that story, you know.
The agreement with the Rabbi is right. They're willing to write. The agreement.
The agreement verbally. It's enough, they say it, finished. Thank you very much.